Hey everyone, today I'm going to review some Zig pigment markers made by Kuretake. So here I have Zig Fabricolor, Zig Posterman, and Zig Painty FX. In this review, you will find out how opaque they are and how well they work with watercolor, either on top or beneath watercolor, and how good they are when it comes to creating mixed media art. So Zig Fabricolor, as the name suggests, is meant for use on fabrics. The ink is water-based pigment ink, non-bleeding and permanent after ironing. Next we have Zig Posterman. This also has water-based pigment ink, and the ink is said to be opaque and light fast. This is meant to be used on chalkboards, windows, mirrors, ceramics, so you can use this on smooth reflective surfaces as well as rough surfaces. Next we have Zig Painty FX, which is alcohol based. It also uses pigment ink. The ink is opaque and quick drying. This is meant to be used on metal, glass, plastic, and wood. Again, this can also be used on reflective, smooth surfaces as well as rough surfaces. So I'm not sure what's the difference between Posterman and Painty FX. One is water-based, one is alcohol-based. These markers are available with different tip sizes and colors. Some of these Zig markers actually have the replacement tip secured to the pen cap. This is quite convenient. So this particular one that I have is a fine tip. The tip is spring-loaded, so to get the ink out you have to keep pressing until the ink starts flowing. Then you don't have to do that anymore, and the ink flow is quite good. If the ink is not flowing well, you may have to shake the marker, and make sure to cap the marker before you shake, because there is a good chance the ink will splatter out from the tip. These markers are supposed to work on different surfaces. So let's try this on this plastic packaging. So that's Fabricolor. This is Painty FX, and this is Posterman. On closer inspection, the edges for Fabricolor have water-like marks because this uses water-based inks. For Painty FX, which uses alcohol-based inks, the edges are very sharp. Posterman also uses water-based ink, so you can see the watermarks as well. One important thing to note is these markers are said to be light fast, but since no pigment information is provided, I'm not exactly sure how light fast the colors or the pigments are. And on this marker, which says it's permanent after ironing, permanent here means it's not removable. It does not mean it's light fast. I am not able to test how light fast the colors are because it takes too much time. So if you want to know how light fast they are, you have to do your own test. Alright, let's see how opaque the markers are. We'll start with Zig Fabricolor. Alright, this looks very opaque. Next I have the white Zig Fabricolor. This looks really good. It's very opaque. Let's try Posterman. Unfortunately, here at the art shop, this Posterman is available only in black, white, and silver, if I remember correctly. So this white doesn't seem to be as opaque as the Zig Fabricolor, maybe because the tip is too thin, but it's definitely white enough to go over the black. And this is Zig Painty FX. As you can see, it's not as opaque as I like. So this is alcohol based. Maybe that's why the ink is not as opaque compared to the water-based marker. Here's a comparison at a glance. So the Zig Fabricolor looks more opaque compared to the Uni Poscar markers, and that's surprising to me. I will probably buy a few more colors to test this out. Zig Painty FX is quite washed out. Based on the name alone, I would expect the paint to be opaque, but it doesn't appear to be. So next we'll see how the markers react with watercolor on top. So let's paint over this. It seems like the paint is repelling the watercolor. So that's Fabricolor, and this is Zig Painty FX. Based on my findings, it seems like the Zig markers do not work well with watercolor on top. It seems like the watercolor or the water is moving away from the pigment, the paint. Same here for the Posterman. For Uni Paint markers, these by the way are not the same as Uni Poscar markers. They work really well with watercolor on top. Same applies to Uni Poscar markers. By the way, I have paint on my finger because, as mentioned earlier, always cap your markers before shaking them. Next, let's see how well the markers go over these pen ink watercolor sketches that I have drawn. After I drew this, I realized I do not have the green colored Zig Fabricolor. So let me just use red instead to paint the leaves. So this seems opaque enough. So I'm able to cover the black quite easily. Let me try the white one. Okay, this is quite good. Just for comparison purposes, this is the green Uni Paint marker. This is oil base, and it seems like the paint is being absorbed by the paper, and you can see it's not that opaque. This is the yellow Uni Paint marker. Again, it's being absorbed into the paper. This is the red one. Seems to be slightly more opaque. And this is Uni Poscar. Okay, this is quite opaque. This is good. So far, I'm not very impressed by the Uni Paint marker. This is also Uni Poscar. Next, let's test the Zig Painty FX. So I'm going to draw a street lamp here to see if I can have this go over the watercolor. Let me draw a smaller one here. So the Zig Painty FX works well against lighter colors but not against darker colors or black. Let me try the other one. This is the Zig Fabricolor, the one that is more opaque. This is definitely more opaque. It's just that red against red, there is no contrast. Let me just move this down slightly. So here you can see it's very opaque. This is very nice. And just for comparison purposes, we have the red Poscar marker. This is the one, and it works quite well, I should say. This is also the red Poscar marker. And this is the white Fabricolor. And this is the white Zig Fabricolor. This is really nice. This is very opaque. All the white you see here are from the Zig Fabricolor, and this is the Uni Postcard white marker. I would say it has the same performance as the Zig Fabricolor. Let's give the Zig Painty FX another chance. Okay, this is not good. I'm trying to put yellow dots against this darker color and you can see it's just not showing up. So this is the Zig Painty FX. I am not impressed. But if you want to do some watercolor correction, this could be good because it blends with the watercolor quite well. This is the Fabricolor. Again, the colors here are just more opaque. Zig Fabricolor white. Right, to conclude, if you want opaque markers, I can recommend the Zig Fabricolor and the Uni Postcard. If you want your markers to blend well with watercolor, then go with Zig Painty FX or the Uni Paint marker. I can't say much about Posterman because I only have white and it's this very fine tip. This is going to be good for drawing details. The main difference between this versus the roller ball white gel pen is sometimes the ball at the tip, it doesn't roll well on certain surfaces or media, but this is a paint marker, so it should work well on more surfaces. If you happen to be using some of these Zig markers, let me know what you think about them. Alright, thanks for watching this video. I hope it's useful. See you guys in the next video. Bye!